Thank you for joining us here on Rwanda Television News on this 18th day of July. These are the latest headlines for our viewers in Rwanda and around the world. The Minister of Local Government assures the people that no one will be deprived of food as Rwanda began distributing food relief to citizens today. 27 years after the government of national unity was sworn in, Rwandans from all walks note that the developmental projects in Rwanda are a clear indication that the country's people are the leadership's priority in all it does. Happy Sunday, good evening, and a very warm welcome to tonight's broadcast with me, Gloria Mutesi. Now, some residents in Kigali City have started receiving food supplies during this total lockdown, and they thank the authorities for their support. The Minister of Local Government, Gatabazi JMV, assures the people that no one will be deprived of food, but also urges them to continue adhering to the COVID-19 preventive measures so as to mitigate the spread of the virus. Jane Mutoni starts our coverage tonight.
Various authorities in Kigali have begun distributing food to daily laborers who survive on wages. This Sunday morning, trucks set off to pack food consisting of maize flour, beans and rice from higher authorities to settlement and neighborhoods to reach the community. Those that have received the food are pleased and say that they shall keep adhering to the COVID-19 preventive measures. I'm no longer able to do business and earn a living. We are a family of 12 people. It was tough to process, but they promised us food and it's here. May God bless them, because otherwise I don't know how we would have survived. When the food gets done, they shall find a way to give us more. We already took a COVID-19 test and we tested negative. We shall keep adhering to the preventive measures along with staying indoors. In addition to the food provided by the government, farmers in Kwabiga Vegetable Cooperative in Kinyinya sector, Gasabo district, have also taken the initiative to support this activity as they have started preparing various vegetables to be distributed along with the food. We plan to distribute vegetables in Kinyinya cell so as to reach the needy families during this total lockdown, in addition to the food which will be provided to them. Some of them come to work in the marshlands and receive wages. The Minister of Local Government, Gatabazi Jean-Marie Vianney, says no one will be left out to starve as the food is prepared and it's adequate. He urges the people to keep adhering to the COVID-19 preventive measures. Every person in need of support shall be provided for, as we also urge those in the needy category that haven't been listed to demand to be added on the list. We have been consulting our partners who come together and provide food. I would also point out that the government is also contributing massively along with the involvement of the partners. In Kigali, there are more than 211,000 families, plus those in the districts. So far, the number of those in need of help has not been determined. The 8 districts that are under total lockdown collect some of the food in Kigali, but there has been a food store in each district, according to the harvests in those districts. Milk and flour rich in nutrients will also be distributed to help young children and those infected with COVID-19 virus. Jane Mutoni, RTV News.
Another activity that is currently taking place across the country is the mass testing to establish the status of the pandemic. And to understand this better, I'm joined by Dr. Sebe Nsanzimana via phone. Good evening, Dr. Sebe.
Good evening, Gloria.
So today is day 2 of testing, and beyond just the establishing of the status of the pandemic in the country, what are you expecting to find? And after the 10-day lockdown, and how will this inform the next steps?
Thank you very much. Indeed, we are conducting massive testing in the city of Kigali up to the cell level. So we're targeting 15% of the adult people living in all cells in the city of Kigali. This is the largest sample size we've ever taken in massive testing in the city of Kigali. So the main objectives are actually to understand better the spread of this virus in the population of the capital of Rwanda. But also we are setting up a baseline to from which we will repeat the same testing 10 days after during this lockdown that we just started, so we can measure before lockdown where were we and what the impact of these measures, and also understanding which areas are most affected, so additional measures also can be implemented, including also finding those who are probably very sick and don't know. So these the 2 days that we had actually completed few hours ago, and our target has been achieved in terms of numbers of people to be tested.
Absolutely. Could you also tell us about the correlation of the high numbers, such as the ones that we saw yesterday of positive cases, together? That, of course, it goes hand in hand with the number of tests conducted and then the low positivity rate.
Yeah, actually, in epidemiology, you always want to test as many people as possible. So yesterday was the highest number of people we've ever tested since the COVID-19 pandemic started, and we identified also the highest number of positives. Of course, since the denominator has increased significantly, the positivity went down. So this is the ideal way of managing the pandemic, testing more people and trying to find the positives as quick as possible before they spread without even knowing. So today we expect the same, because we also conducted a big number of tests across the city of Kigali, so we expect also the number of positives to be high, and positivity going down as you test more is a normal trend expected. And all these thousands of positives that are being found in these 2 days are going to be managed in a way that they don't actually create new clusters of infections. This is the main benefit of conducting massive tests. And as we said, it's not going to stop here in Kigali only, because it will go also in the other districts starting from next week.
And with the increase of numbers of positive cases, would you say that the 10 days of lockdown will change anything in terms of the spread of the virus? And what are the plans if it doesn't?
Well, 10 days is already a good number of days to make an impact in the spread of pandemic. Of course, during these 10 days, what we will do is more important than just being into lockdown, because we know that transmission comes from people to people. So the less movements are out there, the less risks of transmissions, and the more days we can reduce these movements. Of course, we understand the other consequences of that needs to be looked at, but we have hope that these 2 days are going to make a significant impact in the COVID spread that we observed the last few weeks. And as I said, after 10 days, we will repeat the same mass testing, so we see what we had before and what we have now. And that can also inform other further decisions that could be made now based on strong data and a large sample size that we're taking, mainly in the city of Kigali.
I would also like to take this chance, Dr. Sabe, to ask you about the COVID-19 therapeutics that we're using in Rwanda for the COVID-19 patients. I think a while ago we were using the favipiravir, but do we have any new advancements at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. The therapeutics to COVID-19 are also improving, although we don't have treatments that stopping the last phase. I mean, the advanced stages of this disease, usually known as cytokine storm, where our own immune system is part of the severity of the disease. But the earlier you initiate treatments, the better. So we have some antivirals. You mentioned the favipiravir is a good drug we've used since last year, and it has shown very good results to cut the risks to severity of the disease. We're also using ivermectin, which is also showing some good results. We also have other types of combinations. As you know, the virus generally do not have medications that will easily cure it. So we try also to help the immunity to fight itself, and there are other support that needs for our own immune system, including nutritional support that not necessarily are drugs, but helps our own system to fight back. Sometimes the risks can go up to further infections that need to be also treated. There are also monoclonal antibodies that are quite helpful. We're trying to acquire more of these so that we can have a cocktail of drugs that will help to prevent the stage that I mentioned, which is unfortunately sometimes when someone has reached that stage of storm, it is not easy to manage, and oxygen therapy is also very key.
Yes.
This has been upgraded recently, and almost in all provinces now, the capacity is increased, so that we continue to prepare ourselves for cases that may increase, or also for the earlier management has been always the best. That's why we urge people to, whenever you have symptoms, go for a test and receive these drugs that we have. Will help to not go to the oxygen or to ventilators later on.
Certainly. As we wrap this up, Dr. Sabe, 18 or so months later since this public health crisis, I think one could say that some people have lost momentum in terms of fighting the virus, hence why we're seeing people deliberately going against the set guidelines. But how big of a threat is this, and what's your message?
Yeah, the COVID pandemic, when it started, no one thought really it would last so long, and no one can tell when COVID is going to end. But I believe that with the availability of vaccines and advanced treatments, we'll be able to overcome this pandemic if we continue to actually push a bit forward and not get infected or get affected, because this virus is changing itself so rapidly and so differently, and sometimes the new the new variants that are coming are more severe than the virus we had last year. That's why measures that individuals should apply themselves, their families, to the workplace and where they go, must go also in the same speed, in the same line that the virus itself is changing. Unfortunately, we see some people getting some kind of fatigue. That's why we urge everyone that this fatigue is not in our favor. It's actually going to be in the favor of the virus. The virus will be able to take more lives and also affect more people. That's why maybe a couple of months to push until we get more vaccines and also be able to be in advance to the virus. Otherwise, we'll be still struggling behind if we don't take these measures very seriously.
Absolutely. Dr. Sabe Nsanzimana, thank you so much for making the time to speak to us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Bye. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Well, in other news, 27 years after the government of the national unity was sworn in, Rwandans from all walks have noted that the sort of developmental projects promoted in Rwanda are a clear indication that the country's people are the leadership's priority in all it does. Sessionary with the details.
Deborah Mwiza was just a 1-week-old baby back in 1994 when the government of national unity was sworn in. And she and other young people like Jeanette say they will do everything possible to preserve all the country has achieved over the years. I believe as a young person I have the responsibility of following in their footsteps, building up the country and protecting everything they fought for, not tolerating anyone who may seek to destroy it. I must work as hard as they did so that the country does not go back to the way it used to be. In the past, the country's youth were manipulated into doing terrible things, including staining their hands with blood. They also destroyed those young people's vision. I thank the President of the Republic for seeing the true potential of young people in a positive way, that the youth are a power that can quickly build up a country. When the government of national unity was sworn in, people in the country understood that a new chapter in Rwanda's history had begun. We were relieved to hear that it was a government of national unity. Before, there was no unity, and therefore we had great expectations of the new government, that it would bring us together, and indeed that is what happened. People who had been stuck in exile were able to return and live peacefully with those already in the country, trading and cultivating the land together with no problems. It was like a miracle to hear that Kigali had been captured and that the RPF in Inkotanyi had seized power from the Interahamwe. It was a milestone for us. Getting rid of the Interahamwe was like seeing God. Veteran politicians have noted on the changes that came about after the liberation of the country. I do not understand how you can be a cabinet member, participate in a cabinet meeting, agree on things on how to build a country, and then come night after you have returned to your home in the provinces, go to organize other meetings and reach resolutions completely different from the ones agreed upon during the cabinet meeting. Some ministers were segregating people based on ethnic tribes, bringing in things to do with insurgents, and I am not afraid to tell you that some of them even worked with insurgents. All that was just filth. Rwanda's transformation over the decades has been nothing short of miraculous. We were amazed at how fast this country is developing, be it in agriculture, animal husbandry, or the education sector. Children used to walk long distances just to get an education, and that was a problem. Another unique aspect about this country is that former government soldiers that had fought against the RPF were allowed to join the RDF to protect the peace of the country as one. That to me is unique. Today, the most vulnerable in society go to the bank to withdraw their welfare money from their accounts without working a day, and they are not discriminated against based on regions, physical appearance, or anything like that. All the vulnerable people in need of support get that money at the bank. That's a fact because they are there. Abbas Mukama is happy with the way the country has turned out. Have you seen a country in which the child of someone that took up arms to fight the government is treated no different from any other child here in Rwanda, enjoying all the advantages available? Don't you find that hard to comprehend? That is the uniqueness of Rwanda. As I told you before, we are lucky to have such a good president given to us by God, and this is an opportunity, especially for the youth, that I do not want them to waste. On Monday, it will be exactly 27 years since the government of national unity was sworn in, encompassing all parties in the country that did not participate in the 1994 genocide that was perpetrated against the Tutsi.
With the current lockdown in Kigali city and other parts of the country, we spoke to some parents who say they're using this time to bond as a family and talk about achievements as well as addressing their issues. The children, on the other hand, are happy that they are now having enough time to spend with their parents.
In Kiyovu Nyarugenge district, some families were paid a visit in their homes during this total lockdown. As parents and children are busy doing the domestic work during this period, people are prohibited from moving outside of their homes unless it's urgent or for reasonable purposes. One can only go out to buy food and then go straight back home. Children are now spending lots of time with their parents and doing their best to be well behaved, as parents are now around 24/7. Without parents around the whole time, it's now harder for any mistake that we make to go unnoticed, because they now have all the time to notice every little thing. While this is not the first total lockdown, some people have managed to adapt and use the time to participate in domestic activities. Most of the time is spent doing domestic activities. We wake up early in the morning, make tea, and afterwards clean up the house. Parents say they have learned so much during the past total lockdowns through spending quality time with their children and address various issues as a family. I've learned the importance of spending time with my family. It's very important. Most of the time we are busy, but now we have time to attend to our children and our homes full time. So far, there have been 3 total lockdowns in Rwanda. Citizens believe they have learned different lessons over those times, of which among them are saving for emergencies. Shane Mutoni, RTV News.
I believe this is what they mean when they say look at the brighter side. Enjoy your time with your loved ones. Well, away from Kigali, local residents in rural Rusizi district in areas say people like to migrate for prayers out in the wilderness and say they're taking the COVID-19 preventive measures very seriously and preventing prayer gatherings in such areas. Churches in the district have denounced the practice during such times and say another doing that will have to be held individually and responsible for their actions.
People used to spend hours at a time sitting in the middle of this small waterfall in Rusizi district in tearful prayers in the hopes that their apparent actions of devotion would persuade God to answer their prayers favorably, and the surrounding hills and forests, uninhabited, would be used by Christians for their own special wilderness experience, but not anymore because they now lie void of the crowds that used to flock to them from even as far away as Burundi and the DRC. Many people would come here daily, as many as 500 sitting in groups. This hill would be crowded. Even then, people were discouraged to go into the wilderness because injury in such remote places would easily prove fatal without the proper medical facilities nearby. Going there now and gathering in such groups is breaking the law, and the pastors of established churches are urging Christians not to behave in that way. When we read 2 Chronicles chapter 7 verse 15 to 16, we find that it says, "Now my eyes will be open and my ears attentive to the prayers offered in this place. I have chosen and consecrated this temple so that my name may be there forever. My eyes and my heart will always be there. Therefore, leaving a church to go and pray at a location that is prohibited is a sin, breaking God's law and disobeying the country's leaders, and yet we are called upon to respect our leaders. I am therefore calling on Christians and all Rwandans in general to realize that people who do such things are breaking the law." Even though such remote locations in Rusizi district are no longer seeing large gatherings, that can't be said for other locations around the district or the country. Recently, more than 70 people were caught praying in a private home in Giheke sector, Rusizi district. A few hours ago, 239 were apprehended after gathering together and praying on a hill named Kanyarira in Ruhango district, and 10 were found to be COVID-19 positive after the entire group was tested. Another 38 have been arrested in Bugesera district. All caught are sensitized to respect the preventive measures before being fined and allowed to leave. Apart from Kigali city and the 8 other districts in the provinces that are under a total lockdown, places of worship in all other districts are open for prayer, though they are allowed to fill to only 30% of their capacity, and all other COVID-19 measures must be respected as well.
A cross-section of Rwandans say they've embraced technology during the lockdown because only through it are they able to access various services without leaving their homes. They also acknowledge that this way they are having less risks of spreading the coronavirus pandemic. Some residents who are currently under lockdown say internet-based technology in Rwanda has made it easier to get everything they want, including buying all the goods they want without leaving the comfort of their home because they can shop using various sites to prevent the spread of COVID-19. The internet has become a solution to so many challenges. For instance, now when we are under the lockdown, we are doing most of the things from home, be it shopping. We are doing online shopping now, such as sites like Migros. You just have to go to the internet and use your phone. Then you can get anything you want. Online shopping is very helpful. As we're spending time at home now, we need various services that we can access online. There are some clients I'm making work badges for, but because there's no way they can get to me, I'm now utilizing the internet to give the service. Eric Rugwizangoga from Migro, an e-commerce platform, says indeed online shopping is a solution to many people in Rwanda and even beyond. And he also thanks the government for putting in place internet infrastructure that has enabled this. For instance, on the Migro platform, you are able to order for anything from wherever you are in the world. First, let me thank our country and His Excellency the President of the Republic for advocating for the use of technology and supported the access to internet infrastructure. The important thing is to offer timely services, and something special is that delivery is free on our platform. Iradukunda Eve, the Permanent Secretary for the Ministry of Innovation and ICT, says they are working with telecom companies to ensure that people working from home are able to give timely services by accessing good internet during the lockdown. He also calls upon people to embrace technology and online shopping as a way of stopping the spread of the pandemic. During this time when people are under lockdown, I would encourage them to embrace technology and utilize it more. As we better the services that we currently have, we are currently working with different telecommunication companies and businesses to ensure that proper service delivery is done during the lockdown period as we all fight the spread of the pandemic, and indeed we shall win this fight. The Ministry of Innovation and ICT points out that the smartphone has become a tool that every citizen can access and can be used as a solution for all the goods and the needs one might need in terms of online shopping. The week-long International Beach Volleyball Championship in Rwanda ended today in Rubavu District. In the men's category, 2 American teams met in the finals, with Theodore Briner and Shem Shock beating Badinga and Phil 2 sets to 0 to take the trophy. In the women's category, the Americans Hughes and Day beat the German team of Lebara and Shoes 2 sets to win the competition. The Minister of Sports, Honorable Aurore Mimosa Munyangaju, noted that Rwanda has learned a lot from the just concluded tournament.
The volleyball game in Rwanda in general, and as you heard the Volleyball Federation says, they are going to put in more efforts in the beach volleyball effective today. We don't have a lot of Rwandan players perhaps, but with partnerships with the Federation and the Ministry of Sports, we are going to invest in this game and pay more attention, train people from a young age, and in the years to come, we shall have some results in this game. I can assure you, we have the willingness.
That's all we had for you tonight. Always a pleasure to have your company. I wish you all a wonderful week ahead, free from COVID-19. My prayers and best wishes to all currently down with the virus and everyone that's been affected in one way or another. Otherwise, God bless you and keep you. And until next time, I'm Gloria Mutisi. Bye for now.